Good morning, neighbor. Welcome to the Big Idea Camp's weekly lesson video that corresponds with the character development curriculum called Core Essentials. A lot of our local schools are using the curriculum in their schools. A lot of counselors utilize that through in-class or even online. Maybe you are in school this week and that is a great thing. Welcome back to school. Maybe you're doing that non-traditional learning. You're still doing things maybe from your Chromebook or your iPad, or maybe you're just doing some virtual learning academy this year. No matter what, no matter how you're accessing and no matter how you are learning this year, we can still learn values together. And that's what this program is all about. Values. Values are things that can grow inside of you and change the world around you. And we're kind of wrapping up the month of January with this fourth lesson of the month. And we've been talking about a specific value all month, and let's look at it together. We've been talking about responsibility, proving that you can be trusted with what is expected of you. A lot of people, when they start the new year, when they start the month of January, we have this thing called resolutions. Without responsibility, resolutions will never work because it takes action. It takes acting upon. I want to do this, so I must act and be accountable to it. Well, maybe in your life you have some responsibilities. And once we do good with our little responsibilities, we can grow and get bigger responsibilities. Think of it like this. If you can be responsible with your chores at home, maybe making your bed, maybe taking out the garbage, maybe helping your parents or your family do the dishes. If you can be responsible with your homework, we can grow into bigger things. And life is about growing, and responsibility is a big part of life. So proving that you can be trusted with what is expected of you, that is responsibility. And a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the German Shepherd here. We learned a story about a German Shepherd being responsible, which was incredible. And I'll just kind of recap it for you from week 2. 2016 in Florida, it's the last paragraph on the screen. A 2-year-old German Shepherd, which had been adopted from a shelter, by the way, hadn't grown up with this family. It protected a 7-year-old girl because it got in the way. It stood in between the little girl and a rattlesnake, a diamondback rattlesnake. The dog got bit by the snake because it was protecting the owner, which again, by the way, let's remember this. The dog was adopted from a shelter. It didn't grow up with these people as its owners. It didn't just know that little girl from years ago. It was new to that family, and it still said, my responsibility is protecting that little girl from the snake. What an incredible, heroic story about the German Shepherd. It was responsible. Well, let me ask you this. What are you responsible for? What are you responsible with this year? Maybe you've been doing great with your homework and you get your scores back and you see your report cards like, yes, I applaud you. I think that is excellent because this is not normal life these days. COVID has made things so abnormal, such an anomaly, that you should be celebrated for being responsible for doing the things that you can do. And I'm very proud of you for that. Extremely proud. But what else are you responsible for? Let's think about that. What are some other ways that you are growing in responsibility? Well, I tell you what, we've got a really short clip about responsibility, so let's learn together.
When the Kaufmans left for their vacation, they also left me a list. Mom said it was because they trusted me with their trash, and their fish, and their houseplants before. But this time it was serious. They get back Friday. I can't wait for them to see it. And I wonder if anybody else needs my help this summer.
I like that. That was really interesting. Have you ever done that for a neighbor that maybe went out of town? Have you helped maybe yard work? Have you helped? Maybe they weren't out of town. Maybe you just decided, I want to help somebody accomplish something. That's really neat responsibility, especially if they ask you for help too. Well, let's look at this week's worksheet. It's our last one of the month. So think about this quote for 1 minute. It takes less time to do a thing right than it does to explain why you did it wrong. It takes less time to do a thing right than it does to explain why you did it wrong. That's a really good quote, and it's by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. It takes less time to do a thing right than it does to explain why you did it wrong. Think about that. Have you ever done something wrong? People ask you why, and you sit there and you're trying to make excuses. Well, I thought, well, no, maybe I was rushing. No, I didn't. You know, the other like last week I was working with my son. He was doing his homework online, and he didn't read the directions. He thought he knew what he was supposed to do, and he did the entire sheet, but he did it wrong because he didn't read the directions. And so I was talking to him. I said, Carson, imagine the time that you've wasted because you didn't read a simple 2-sentence instruction. That happens. Let's take the time. Let's take the time to do things right. And sometimes that's reading instructions. And sometimes it's just focusing on what you need to do. Tell one person how you were responsible today. Let's really focus on that. What is something you can do today that can show that you're responsible? And then share that. Man, even ask. Ask someone else, hey, what are some ways that I can improve in my responsibility? I think that's good. The very top middle says, what is one responsibility you want to take on soon? Maybe it's a goal. Maybe you want to grow in responsibility. What's a way that you can grow with responsibility? That's important. Draw a picture of yourself being responsible with a pet. Man, my 2 boys have wanted a pet for a long time, and then we actually got one about a year ago, and their responsibility went out the door. They didn't help feed it. They didn't help potty train it, and it was kind of like, no. They didn't work out really well. They weren't responsible enough for it, but I think the time is coming when we'll do that again. So draw a picture. What would responsibility look like with a pet? Maybe it is helping feed it. Maybe it is taking it for a walk, taking it outside to use the bathroom when it needs to, playing with it because a dog needs that. I think a dog, it could be a pet of anything. Maybe you have a pet rat or a pet snake. I don't think you take pet snakes for a walk. I don't know why that came in my mind. Maybe you just watch it slither. Don't let it out of its aquarium and not watch it, because if it gets in your parents' bed and there's a snake, and that's just a bad thing. So be responsible. How do you feel today? Let's look at that. Let's look at those bubbles of the faces there. How do you feel today? I think it's really important that, kind of like a thermometer, you check the temperature of your emotions. It's good to know. And guess what? There are no wrong answers. If you are annoyed, if you are worried, if you're frustrated, if you're furious, and that's not a wrong answer. It's a right answer because you know how you feel. And I'm proud of you for being able to kind of step back and understand that you feel that way. But what I will say is, if you are frustrated, if you have emotions, if you have feelings that aren't happy, they're not productive, they're not helping you, then do me a favor, don't stay there. Let's examine, why am I annoyed? Well, I'm annoyed because my brother said some words to me that hurt my feelings. Well, do me a favor, let's have a conversation with your brother. And you can let him know, hey, you hurt my feelings when you said that. And what's normally going to happen, they'll probably apologize. Or they could be a dork and be immature, but that's okay. You talking about your feelings is a very helpful thing. You love your brother. I love your brother. Let's forgive him, right? So we can do that. So how do you feel? It's very important. Well, I tell you what, my hero in this world, Mr. Rogers, you know that, his wife passed away this past weekend, and it was sad. It was sad for me. Even though he has been gone for 17, almost 18 years now, she had still been around, and she talked about his legacy and And so she passed away just recently, and I thought, man, that was a really big connection to him. And I got sad, actually. I cried a little bit, and I started thinking about that's one less thing that this world has that was connected to my hero. But I also started thinking about the good things, about how they're together again where they are in heaven, and I'm very happy about that. And then I started thinking about their family and the good memories that they would have, how they could look back and say, man, my parents changed this world by helping people know that they are loved and that they have the capacity to love others. And that's so very important. We just talked about things that maybe frustrate us or things that may make us worry, and I want you to know if some of that is homework, I want you to know we want to connect. We want to help you with that. So if you are having issues with your online work, if you're having issues with your virtual learning academy, or maybe it's just you having issues with some schoolwork that you are in class, which is cool because I'm excited. A lot of us are going back to school now, actually in the school, even if it's just a couple days a week. Do me a favor. If it's gotten to the point where you're frustrated and you're mad and you're just, I don't want to do this, shut the book. Turn the Chromebook off. Parents, I'm talking to you. Don't let homework defeat you. Don't let homework make your day bad. Do me a favor. Let's connect. Email us, thebigideacamp@gmail.com. We will help you with your homework. We will connect you with educators who are more than happy to walk through assignments with your kids so they can succeed. It's not normal times. COVID's make everything abnormal, so it's okay to have frustrations. I promise it's okay. But let's not stay there. Let's work together. So that's big time. Another thing I want to tell you about is the January episode of Not Alone is incredible. So proud of Mr. Dalton Hill for talking about the 5-year anniversary of losing his cousin. And just a great show. So make sure you go to the Big Idea Camp YouTube page or Facebook page and watch that episode. I think it speaks to a lot of us who have lost ones that we care about. And it helps us process that and talk about it. And I think that's ultimately important. Well, guys, I hope you have a great week. Hope you know that you can connect with us in a lot of ways. From Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter to the Big Idea Camp. We're out there and we're here for you. And before we go, I want you to know one thing. You're incredible. Just the way you are. I like you just the way you are. You know why? Because I know a little bit about you. You're the only person just like you in the whole world. And I think that's for a reason. And you are loved just the way you are. And you have the capacity to love others just the way they are. So do me a favor. You want to change this world? Love people. Be kind to people. Treat people great. Treat people like it's their birthday. That's what my friend Kid President says. Treat people like it's their birthday. If you get that in your mind, no matter who that person is, it's going to make their day better. So go treat people like it's their birthday. Make this week matter because you can. I'm so proud of you. And I'll see you next week, guys.